Hey, folks. Hey, Bill O'Leary. And I'm coming to you live as part of our Thirsty Thursday series. And that's a weekly thing where I go live and I talk about a different legal topic that I run across in my law practice, estate planning and probate and elder law. And so if you are thirsting for knowledge, you are in the right place. So the topic of this week's talk, it's long-term care, and actually discussing long-term care with older adults that you may have in your life. So, when a loved one, when they can't live independently anymore, that is the time to start looking into options for long-term care. Better yet, don't even wait till it gets to that point. Start the process sooner, assuming that your older loved one is willing to have that conversation. Now, no question, this is a sensitive topic, and talking to your loved one can be challenging. It can also be emotional. And so, while emotion can be brought into talking with your loved one about, that eventual transition to long-term care, having a plan in place can relieve the anxiety. And whether we're talking about, long-term care, maybe receiving care brought into the home, maybe having your loved one move to an assisted living community, or let's say a skilled nursing, the highest level of care. So, just some things to think about. One, seriously take into account your loved one's wishes. So, it's really important to listen to your loved one. Take into account their wishes and their future plans when you sit down and talk to them about long-term care. And even if you may have strong desires and opinions about the best course of action, supporting your loved one's continued independence and autonomy is really important. Now, look, some older adults want to just stay in their home. Others might be perfectly okay with, moving somewhere else where they know that they can get round the clock care, I should say, any time of the day or night. Now, if they choose to move, it might be important for your loved one to remain in a community with friends and family nearby. Here's the issue: giving your loved ones time to process their thoughts. It's really important before going into long term care, because this is a huge life change. Addressing long term care is going to require more than one conversation, okay? It's over a course of conversations. And you might need to sit down and go over the plans again and again, taking into account their wishes. Another suggestion: foster communications between your aging loved one and other family members. So, a lot of families will work together to organize the long term care for a loved one. Think maybe the adult kids get together and coordinate. And so, what they may need to do is sit down and focus on, okay, what can, elderly mom or dad do for themselves, not do for themselves, need some help with what are called activities of daily living, while involving close family members in those determinations is really helpful. And as family members collaborate, they can share information and resources with each other to make sure that their loved one is going to get the best care possible. And what's nice is it's sort of a support structure for, let's say, the adult kids. They can support each other. If, let's say, your loved one starts pushing back, saying, I don't need this. Well, if you're by yourself having that conversation, it might be harder to sort of resist the pushback. If you have several people in the room, you have support. Think about getting what's called a geriatric care manager on board. So, look, sometimes families don't coordinate or collaborate like you might like. Maybe they don't get along. Arguments might get in the way of having those productive discussions about long-term care. So in those cases of family conflict, or let's say in situations where family members are not local to where their loved one is and they really can't help, just geographic limitations, getting a geriatric care manager on board may be a good idea. So, a geriatric care manager, sometimes also called an aging life care coordinator, two terms mean basically the same thing. This is a person who's a professional who could help your family navigate long term care. So, what they can do is they can sit down and talk with your loved one about the different long term care options that are out there. And so they have experience with issues of aging. They can help answer complicated questions and sort of deftly navigate those emotionally challenging topics. So let's just say, as an example, you have a loved one who has a new diagnosis of dementia in the early stages. Well, they're going to need to come to realize in their own mind that their ability to live on their own is going to decline over time, and they ultimately will need long-term care. An aging care manager can really sort of broach that conversation with the older adult, help them find the services that fit their needs. Now, how about this? Important to review long-term care options with older adults. So when addressing long-term care planning with your loved one, think through all the available options. Some older adults with, let's say, significant medical needs, they're going to require, frankly, an institution or a facility, skilled nursing. Others are perfectly fine living at home, and some are in between. So let's say those living at home could receive in-home care, or a family member could assume the primary caregiving responsibility. It all depends on where your loved one is. Moving to a long-term care community can provide older adults with things like support services, socialization opportunities, really important, and a lot of assisted living facilities, in addition to what are called continuing care retirement communities, CCRCs, and nursing homes as well. They'll offer these different activities for their residents. So if your loved one can't remain at home or does not want to remain at home, remind them about the really positive sort of aspects of residential long-term care, because they'll have access to services, assistance with activities of daily living, and round-the-clock medical care. Then ask your loved one about advance directives. So when talking about long-term care, bring up the issue about advanced health care directives so your family can really plan better for the future. So what are these advanced directives? Well, there's several different kinds, and they're all lumped together under the broad sort of term advanced directives. One, a living will. A living will is a set of written wishes for what kind of end-of-life medical care you want. Let's say that you're terminal or you're close to death, no hope of recovery, and the doctor determines that to give whatever medical treatment that might be considered at the time, if the doctor says all that's going to do is prolong the dying process, a living will is your way to say, I do want this medical treatment or procedure given, or I don't want it given, okay? Some people call the living will the pull the plug. Kind of drives home the point. Another type of advanced directive is called a healthcare surrogate designation, also referred to as a healthcare power of attorney, healthcare proxy, that sort of thing. It allows your loved one to designate decision makers for medical, we call that a surrogate, to make medical decisions, for them if they can't make them anymore themselves. Also included under this sort of broad umbrella of advanced directives, a HIPAA authorization. It's where your loved one can name people that basically you're saying, hey, doc, you're allowed to talk to these people about my medical situation, and basically get around those HIPAA privacy laws. A pre-need guardian declaration is another type of advanced directive. So imagine your loved one has declining health, and it gets so bad, it gets to the point where there is no alternative but to name a legal guardian for them. This is a way, this pre-need guardian declaration, for them to declare, if it ever got to that point, this is who I want my legal guardian to be. And then finally, a financial power of attorney. This is where your loved one names someone to manage their financial affairs. They call this person the agent, and they can help with all things financial, like handling money, paying bills, and so forth. And then finally, paying for the care. Just a quick word on that. The cost of long-term care are really an important consideration when talking to your loved one. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people are confused about this. Medicare covers short-term skilled nursing, usually a rehab setting. Best case scenario, they'll pay for 100 days. First 20, no questions asked. Next 80, maybe. But after 100 days, Medicare will not pay for long-term care in a nursing home or assisted living. So if your loved one has not planned ahead on how to pay for long-term care, encourage them to start thinking now how to pay for it to manage the cost. Some older adults buy long-term care insurance. Not many have it, actually, while others might sort of pursue getting qualified for Medicaid to pay for long-term care costs, or they could pay out of pocket. So very important, think about the cost. Hey, want to learn more? Well, we can help, and we would encourage you to reach out. And so what we offer is a 15-minute, 20-minute, something like that, discovery call. That's what we call it. And it's a free call. Scheduling is very easy. It's a chance for you to tell us what's on your mind. We can introduce ourselves to you. Scheduling could not be any easier. So one way is just to go to our website, Legacy Planning Law Group. There's a gold button that says book your free call. Click on it, takes you to our booking calendar. Or if you happen to be seeing this video now on our YouTube channel, then appearing at the bottom of the video now is basically a clickable box where you can click on it. Takes you to that same scheduler. Pick the day and time that works for you. If you've enjoyed this video, do like it and share it with your friends, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk that I've titled "Discussing Long-Term Care with Older Adults That Are in Our Lives." I'm going to be back next Thursday at about the same time, late afternoon and so forth, or early evening, with another topic. So basically, same day, roughly same time, different topic, but it's the same goal always: to quench your thirst for knowledge. So on behalf of everybody here at Team Legacy, I'm going to bid you farewell. Go make it a great day and a better world.